Even though it is discreet, I can hear the whispers about Nedir and what happened a few days ago. The sight of Avernum's gates is a relief. They might offer a solution to our problem. Nevertheless, I head to the market to deliver my goods and do a bit of trading before making my way to Incanus's tower. Once Nedir walks in, Incanus seems to change from his monotonous, cold self. He greets the sorceress with a hint of kindness in his voice.
Master Incanus.
Nedir is uncharacteristically timid and humble as she bows low before the mage, who then turns to me.
Apologies, Vagrus, but my former pupil and I have to discuss something important in private. Please wait for us here.
The two of them disappear into a shadowy corridor and do not re-emerge for almost an hour. Both of them seem to be in a good mood. Nedir is smirking, while Incanus walks with newfound energy.
Well, the good news is that we will be able to find the source of this curse with Master Incanus's help. But we need to perform an arcane ritual. And as you would expect, such a specific and complex spell requires unique components. So, let me explain what we need. To identify the source of the curse, the Master and I have to cast a complex arcane spell, a ritual. Once the curse's origin is revealed, we can work on ending the infernal attacks, probably by taking out the source.
When you say, solve the problem at the source, what do you mean by that?
Probably facing a greater demon.
And what kind of components are needed for the ritual?
The ritual requires several hard-to-come-by components. Spectral residue collected from vanquished spirits, some oil, a bit of jade. Finally, the horn of a mature demon. This one is quite difficult to get normally, because the creatures we have faced thus far do not have horns that suffice. We might have an opportunity later, though, as the attacks could become more and more serious.
I can't help but run a hand across my face.
Alternatively, I have one for sale every few months or so.
The horn is not a problem, considering I already have one in my possession. Don't look at me like that. It turns out a summoning ritual had been performed in the Skornar district, and my men and I took care of it. Nasty piece of work.
You impress me, Vagrus.
The real problem will be the spectral residue. I have absolutely no idea how to obtain it. The only ones who might have any are the churches of our school, but I highly doubt they would provide it to me, and they would ask far too many questions.
The Valley of Sleepers.
Have you lost your mind? No one ever returns from that place.
Not if we go prepared. I'll explain on the way. Thank you for your help, Master.
Stay vigilant, both of you.
Lost in my thoughts, I pay little attention to my surroundings and eventually arrive at the dwarven shop to collect my order. My order is ready, and Dokar takes me to his father and brothers, who proudly present the completed work. It is clearly masterfully done, and the attention to detail is phenomenal. I order my men to transport it to the Comitatus, where Garrick will gladly see to its installation. As we arrive at the place designated for Skornar, I ask to be taken to Pernandius. The man called Pernandius, a plump fellow with a stern face and a shaven head, is sitting at a table in a dingy back room. Skornar tells me that he used to lead his gang from this room once. Pernandius greets us both and offers mushroom wine from a pitcher.
I'll be the arbiter in this feud. The guild has decided to give you a chance to get back at Falco. I heard that you made quite the impression on them. However, you are to do this cleanly, on equal terms, as much as possible.
I know the drill. What I want to know is when and where.
Patience. Most nights, Falco, along with his most loyal goons and smelter friends, frequents Medora's.
How far dirty traitors have come in this world.
Pick a night. I'll arrange for most of his allies to abandon him when you show up to confront and challenge the man. That'll leave about half a dozen fighters. You are to match that.
I would prefer to kill that cocksucker before he can relieve his groin, but, well...
The former kingpin shrugs, then turns to me.
Can I count on your support, my friend?
The question does not even arise, Skornar.
Perfect.
With that, the meeting is concluded, and we leave Pernandius' presence. Skornar, I'll leave you to scout the area and inform our men for tonight. As for me, I have some business to attend to before nightfall.
It will be done, Vagrus.
I head to my comitatus and order the prisoner to be delivered to the Prefectus. The Prefectus looks Lascar up and down with an indifferent expression as the bound man stands shivering in front of him. I briefly recount my run-in with Javeran as well.
Thank you, Vagrus. You delivered what you promised.
He snaps his fingers, and 2 Avernum Legion guards enter, then drag Lascar away. What will happen to this man?
He will talk. He was responsible for the books and taxes of some of my more sensitive ventures, and he was foolish enough to siphon considerable sums to himself, or aid others in doing so. That part is not yet clear. Then, depending on what other uses he has, he might live. One could always use someone who is so good with calculations. It is only a question of proper motivation.
It is out of my hands now, and I can feel that it would be unwise to pressure the Prefectus about this. I receive a large pouch of silver, along with his gratitude.
One moment, Vagrus. I've just realized that you are steadily becoming the friend I never knew I needed.
There is the hint of a smile, ever so briefly.
I feel now that I am indebted to you, so I put in a good word for you with everybody, really. I sincerely hope that some good will come of it. People should know that your services come highly recommended.
I thank you most sincerely, Prefectus. I see the sun beginning to set, and several of my men come to escort me to the ambush site.
A whorehouse with a grand reputation. Quality girls and boys, allegedly. Falco's kind could not afford the place, so I reckon he got some free time there as a favor.
Once there, I find that the establishment does not look anything special. Only the grunts outside betray that something important is inside the compound of stocky, ugly stone buildings. Skornar and I don hooded cloaks and keep a watch on Medora's from a safe distance, standing under awnings heavy with ash. The hours drag on. Skornar keeps telling tall tales about his misadventures, until even he becomes bored of hearing his own voice. At length, he sits down next to me on a stone bench, while the others keep watch.
Just wanted to say, I'm grateful for your help, my friend.
Skornar offers me booze from his canteen.
Helps me before a fight.
Could you tell me about Falco?
He was my protege. I guess I saw myself in him. In a way, he was curious, daring, clear signs of the gods' grace. I discovered all too late that his curiosity and courage came from a desperate craving for power and approval, wrapped up in cruelty and selfishness. But even then, I thought that I could teach him to be different. And while I kept telling myself this, the time for my usefulness in his eyes passed.
Skornar gets to his feet when one of my companions gives the signal. A larger party is leaving Medora's. My group leaves its cover and crosses the street, just as Falco and his cronies are leaving Medora's through a side entrance and walk into an alley, jeering and taunting the guards. Most of them are drunk or high on bogweed, stumbling as they go. When they turn the corner, they come face to face with my group. Skornar throws back his hood, and the spark of recognition appears in Falco's eyes. He is too drunk to realize the trouble he is in.
What do we have here? Ghosts of the past. You should be dead, old fart.
This ghost is here to fuck up your day, boy.
Tough words. This sad little band of yours is gonna back it up, I take it.
I see Falco. Nasty grin begins to vanish when he sees that all of the smelters that accompanied him begin to walk away. Pernandius steps out of the shadows and nods at Skornar.
Looks like it's just us, boy.
Fuck.
Falco's men rush at us, spears and swords pointed forward. One of the nomads charges and manages to wound Gorgoro. Gathered in a narrow alley, the enemies were struck by Finderath's devastating magic. The flash of lightning allowed Skornar to knock one of them unconscious. Gorgoro took advantage of the moment to strike, allowing Garrick to finish off the enemy. Staying back, Harvek waited for the right moment before charging, piercing one of the enemies before being pushed back. Thanks to their training and current position, Harvek and Gorgoro use several feints that strike each time, opening the way for Finderath's magic. Skornar finished off one of the enemies, but exposed himself to a glaive strike. Wounded, one of the men threw a knife at Harvek, but could not dodge Gorgoro's axe in time. Being outnumbered, one of the men was overwhelmed, as 3 of my men fell upon him to kill him. Seeing no escape, the last enemy wounded Skornar before my men dealt with him. The goons are dead, and the wounded Falco is pushed to the ground by a decisive bash of Skornar's shield. Pernandius and I join him as the fallen crime boss gets to his knees. The smelters, who are watching the fight, surround us to see this through to its grisly end.
Finish this.
Skornar raised his axe, ready to strike, but the blow never came. He seemed to hesitate.
He should not die in a dark alley after he set me up to suffer in the arena in front of the whole city.
Finish this. That was the deal.
Should he not share the fate he unleashed on me? Are we not equals before the eyes of the gods and the Collegia? True justice will only be served if I face him in the arena, so that everyone knows who is the better man.
Pernandius shakes his head, but he does not wish to go against the unified voice of the smelters. He declares that as arbiter, he will hold Falco in custody until an arena fight to the death can be arranged between Skornar and his former protege. The smelters grab Falco and haul him away as Skornar and I leave the alley.
I feel good about this, my friend. Pernandius doesn't like it, but fuck him, I say. I can't wait for tomorrow so I can reduce that pile of shit to nothing.
Falco is awaiting his fate, chained in the dungeons beneath the arena. Skornar tells me in no uncertain terms that he cannot wait to conclude the matter. I also learn from the editor that the city is looking forward to watching this match more than anything. No words are exchanged. A simple nod is enough before Skornar steps into the arena. Once the fight is set up, and the grandstands are full of cheering, yelling, roaring people, Skornar enters the arena at the same time as Falco does. They meet at the center of the fighting pit and stare at each other as the audience screams at the top of their lungs. I can hear them, however, from my place at a grated window at ground level, thanks to the amazing acoustics of the arena.
Before I feed you to the carrion birds, I wanted to ask you why. I taught you everything I know. I gave you a chance when nobody would, and you tossed me to the dogs.
Oh, old man, you only taught me how to be second to your amazing leadership. I never was your equal, nor saw any hope to be. Do you know how tiresome it was to listen to your fucking tales, all depicting you as the great hero? Please put me out of my misery. I'd rather die than listen to a single word from you again, you old fuck.
Your wish will be granted.
Are you boozed up enough to win, I wonder?
That is the last straw. Without waiting for the editor's signal, Skornar yells a war cry in his odd native tongue and rushes at his former protege, mad with rage. Skornar wasted no time, smashing Falco with his shield before following up with an axe strike, before receiving a jet of sand in the face and several saber strikes. The two fight fiercely, and it is clear that Falco was trained by Skornar. Their fighting styles are very similar. Despite his many wounds, Skornar will ultimately gain the upper hand. Falco is no match for Skornar's mad onslaught, experience, and persistent technique. After being battered by his round shield, he catches a devastating axe swing to his side and falls to his knees.
And now you die, you piece of shit. Who did you think you were? You weren't there when we crossed the great seas. You weren't there when Chieftain Trigwyd died in glorious battle. You weren't there when we raided Chaldaeus. You are no kin of mine. You are no one.
As the terror escalates in Falco's eyes and he starts to cry, Skornar's axe rises and falls upon his skull with devastating force, crushing it to bits. But despite a spectacular fight and a celebrating crowd, my companion simply turns on his heels and walks out of the fighting pit. He looks morose and sullen. Pernandius joins me and tells me that the matter is resolved and that neither the smelters nor the carpenters want to pursue further bloodshed.
The Prefectus, who was watching this with great interest, also gave his blessing on this. I admit that as much as I was against the whole thing, I am glad about the way it turned out. Pleasure doing business with you.
He leaves, and so do I, joining Skornar in the chamber below the arena. Before we set out to the Mancio, he only says that in time he will be able to talk about what happened. The contracts in Avernum are not very appealing, so I stock up on provisions and take some pottery to fulfill my contract with Mistress Candake. I check if any new equipment is available, but to no avail. However, I see that Garrick has properly installed our new wheel system. As we take to the road again, I do the math in my head. 3 weeks before a potential new demon attack. We must hurry.